Hello, and welcome to Millennial Anti-Terrorizers. I'm Nolan Cochran, and today we're going to be talking about once we finish our military training that we actually got to our first duty station. And in the last episode, we talked about SOI and MCT. And luckily, when I had to travel, I only traveled 2 miles down the road on an old bus, which was literally my next duty station or my first duty station. And I'd already gone on hikes next to it. I've already gone runs to it, in SOI. So I was kind of familiar with the place because they also had a phone center. Do you guys remember the phone centers?
I don't know about that. I was North Carolina.
So a phone center was a like a single wide trailer, and inside of it, it had phone booths, so you could talk on a phone. And they may have some of them even had computers because emails was just coming out at this time because this was in 2001. And so we showed up to Camp Horno, which was 2 miles right down the road. And the uniform that we had to wear, because this was still wintertime, was we had to wear our service class A's. So it was the whole shebang, with the jacket and everything. And we had sea bags, two sea bags, and a body bag. So it was a sea bag is a double bag, and a body bag is a garment bag. And at the time, the garment bag, it kind of looked like a World War II camouflage that they had like on Iwo Jima. And the sea bags are your typical sea bags in OD green. And what you did was is you had one on your back with the straps, one in your left hand, and your body bag draped over your right hand. And when we showed up to our unit, they that was pretty much it, 2 miles down the road. Beth, how about yourself? How far did you travel, and what was your uniform that you had to show up to your unit
So, for my um going to the fleet, for me, I'm coming from now Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri is where I came from, going to Cherry Point, North Carolina instead of Camp Lejeune area. So it's a further north.
in?
So I
Oh
went to
no.
my duty station and it was called Marine Wing Support Squadron. So MWSS 271 was my very first duty station. And from there, I had dropped my bags off either at the barracks or probably at the Motor T station. I'm not sure where I did it, but somebody had picked me up, I'm sure, at the airport. It's been so long I can't remember. But I had to go do my check ins. So they would give me this list at our S1, which is our administration, um, I guess, office is what you would call it, where they do all our admin work, whether it's pay and stuff like that. So I went and checked in with them. And what from there, what they do is they give you this big old list and they want you to go check in and around to like SIF and go get your additional gear. So like sappy plates and helmets and all this other gear when we deploy kind of stuff, not just the gear we were given in basic training, like our uniforms. So we got that. I didn't get anything kind of going on. I just kind of stayed with them for the first duration of the day. But my check-in uniforms was our alphas, is what we checked in. I believe that's what everybody checked in when they came to see us. So that's kind of like what I was up to.
Okay. How about you, Alex? How far did you have to travel to your duty station, and what was your uniform that you had to show up in?
Now, I went from Missouri to Pendleton, back to South California, Southern California, and believe same thing. Service A is the one with the piss cover, right?
Or yeah, it's the
The
garrison or
garrison
barracks
cover.
cover. Yeah.
Yeah. So pickle suit, full jacket, ribbons on both your jacket and the long sleeve shirt. This was like about mid-April, so it was pretty warm. I went from being frozen, freezing, and just ending winter, snow melting away in Missouri to, oh, it's pretty hot here. A little too hot to be having a wool jacket on. Um, I when I was getting to my unit, they were just coming back or should have been back from Iraq for a while. Um, I sat in a housing barracks for like probably about like 3 days before someone from the because I showed up at like Friday, I remember. So I sat in a barracks over the weekend, like a temporary one,
Yeah.
and then they assigned me my barracks room. Uh, Told me what unit I was going to be in, and someone from the unit would come get me. Then I went into the so I could drop all my stuff off. They assigned me the barracks room first, and then I went and checked into the main regiment office, and then from there went around and did all that check-in kind of deal.
Okay. Yeah, that was kind of my next question was what was the welcome like when you showed up to your unit and how did they select you from company or platoon? And our welcome was we had the 2 sea bags in the body bag. And when we got there, there's a recreational facility and there's a gym. And at the time, it was the gymnasium or the gym. So they always got it confused on which one it was because it wasn't a recreational facility. It was called a gymnasium, right? Because it was where the basketball court was. And they brought us back and forth about 3 or 4 times in our service office carrying our gear, working up a sweat. And then we get into the basketball court, so the gymnasium. And when we get there, the battalion commander comes in. He says, "My name is Lieutenant Colonel Sinclair. Blah 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 blah. If you're Hayes, you come to me first, right?" This is the welcoming speech. And then it goes down to the XO, and I said, I'm the XO executive officer. Nobody can remember his name. If you're Hayes, you'll come to me first. And then the sergeant major comes up there, and he's just like, Sergeant Major Hamby, I remember his name. He's like, I don't care what those 2 officers say. If anybody comes, officers or Hayes, you just come to me first. And it goes all the way down: company commander, company XO, company first sergeant, company gunny, section leader, squad leader, and then it gets down to literally that corporal that just hazed your ass, running back and forth. He says, I don't give a goddamn what those motherfuckers say. If you're ever hazed, you'll come to me fucking first. You hear me? Okay. Hi, corporal. Okay, and then at that point, we went and we got our barracks rooms. And the way they selected us for company or platoon was when we got off the bus, we formed up behind the battalion. We all were going to this, ours was 50-50 in our weapons company. 58% of them went to 1-4, the other 50% of them went to 3-5. And when I went to 1-4, we all got behind the battalion headquarters building, and then they just broke us off into sections. Okay, these guys are going here, these guys are going there. And this is when I was selected with Charlie Company, 1st Battalion, 4th Marine Regiment at Camp Horno. Beth, do you remember how they selected you for your platoon or company or anything like that? Do you remember your welcoming, how they welcomed you?
Yeah, I actually remember. So going back to my motor T bay and stuff like that, they're pretty welcoming. Like, oh, wow, we got a new person. Welcome. How are you doing? And I was like, well, this is weird. I'm usually used to like basic training and just kind of like do this, do this, do that, gonna help. So the air wing was a little more relaxed than I really had anticipated. So not that it bothered me or anything. So I guess it kind of made the transition a little easier, kind of getting adjusted into there. But how they assign you, so in Motor T, because of the different trucks, they have what they call light section. That's the Humvees. You got medium section, which is our 7 tons, and then you got the heavy section. I know Alex will talk about this too, which is the bigger trucks. So like the tractor trailers and stuff like that that uses the 5th wheels. Anything more, it's a whole different type of MOS itself, like the
Okay.
nomenclature, I should say. So if you're driving the big tractor trailers, you have to not be an 0335 for 710 Humvee. You have to be an 03, I think it's 33 or something like that. Or I'm sorry, 3533 as you were. But anyways, I got stuck with light section, not a big deal. So I got to just kind of get more familiar with the Humvees. And like I've said about my MOS, I just kind of had to do the PMs and stuff like that. And because we have inspections, they were teaching me how to properly write things down from out of this manual. So it's kind of like a checklist. So they were kind of covering that with me, like literally on day one. They were just making sure I knew stuff of kind of like and getting familiar with the office area and around the bay and stuff like that, and where all the trucks are, how things kind of were operational within the platoon.
Oh, okay. Alex, you talked about that you were in, the barracks for 3 days waiting to be assigned. But once you were assigned, do you remember the welcoming? You know how you showed up to your new unit?
Yeah, when they got me there, there's no platoon assignment or nothing. It's the whole platoon is just motor T, so you're just going to the motor pool basically. And we had all of our vehicles there. It was most of it was just like doing the grunt work, the small stuff. Like yeah, they messed with you a little bit, like oh yeah, go drag these, take these chains and go beat the rest off, off them, just to have you do, because you still got to check. You can't drive the vehicles yet until you go through. For us, you got to get not like you're certified, but you have to have your it's almost like you got to get like a physical. You got to go do a medical deal and get like a little medical. You'll have like a little medical card. It's almost like having insurance, but um, you got to go get a little physical, get a medical license done from the doc, and then you got to do like a road test. You take this little test where they explain you, and then everybody on base too. The first couple days I was there, first 3 days or so, would take me along in their car or something as they were driving me around on base to check in. Hey, these are the roads that we can't go down because they're not fit. Remember that windy, curvy one, Rattlesnake Canyon?
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
take military vehicles down
Yeah.
Rattlesnake Canyon. So stuff like that. And then just little, stupid, what would you call, go for jobs or, busy work. Like it's just keep them occupied and have fun and watch them do stupid shit. So they would have me drag the chains up and down the motor pool. The rest ain't coming off the chain, Corporal. All right, I can show you how to do it. Just grab the chains and so I'm running through the fucking motor pool, dragging fucking rusty ass chains around. So just stuff like that. Just we're just fucking with you, dude. Like you ain't never gonna get that rest off. It's fine.
Okay.
I was just trying to get you busy. We're just trying to see how fast you could run that shit, man. I lost $5.
Now the next one I had was, did they play any fuck games with you? And I talked a little bit about them making us go back between the recreational facility and the gym, and freaking eventually, after we found our barracks and rooms and everything like that, after that, what they did is they had a simulated riot. And I don't know if you guys ever been in a simulated riot. The simulated riot is, for our viewers, is basically where they take 30 or 40 Marines and they pair them up, 15 to 20 different groups, and they proceed to grapple on the ground, or it could be grass, it could be blacktop, or it could be concrete, it doesn't matter. And you just simulate a fight, and then they would come out there with a couple Humvees loaded up with the guard, and the guard detail. These guys, they're not MPs, they're grunts with billy clubs, and so they'll come in there and they'll break it up, and they don't get too rough with you until your corporals egg you on to keep going. And then if they keep egging you on to keep going and you don't surrender, then they get a little bit more physical with you. And that was the first time I got slapped upside the back of the head with a billy club. Actually, he butted me with it. He hit me with the butt of the billy club in the back of the head. And I was like, all right, yeah, I give up. But I remember I was winning with this guy named Franklin from the 0341s, the mortar section, the 60 millimeter mortar section in my platoon. And he was a skinnier guy and everything like that. But, it wasn't like we were trying to hurt anybody. We were just trying to have fun. But when those React guy came in there, they kind of messed us up a little bit. Beth, did they play any fuck games with you, your first week or two in?
Yeah, did you have to beat rust off the chain, dragging it through the motor pool?
Not really on my first week, but I remember having to do something. I think I mentioned this on the last video, but it goes back to that canvas stretcher. They really wanted me to go get this canvas stretcher to
Oh,
help out with the 7 times and stuff like that. And obviously, I never heard it in basic, or sorry, not basic training, but MOS school. So I was like, okay, maybe it's something I've never heard of. So I went around asking maintenance and certain people. They know the game, so obviously they stay quiet, like, "Oh, no, go ask over here. Oh, no, go ask this person. No, it's over here." So, everybody's in on the game when you go asking them for something so stupid as that. Eventually, this sergeant eventually said, "This doesn't exist. They're fucking with you," or something like that. I don't remember exactly what he said. Because of that, we became, like, really good buddies, and I'm PFC at the time, mind you. So, he was really intrigued to see how dedicated I was to go find this canvas stretcher. It's like, you know what? Fuck you guys. Dealt with this growing up, and I got to deal with you assholes. But yeah, that was my only time they messed with me the most. But what really kind of got them kind of going into my stories, I was already really gun ho, so it wasn't like kind of like feeling like a what is that word I'm looking for? Just really shy. I wasn't shy. I was already ready to do the stuff. I was already telling Lance Corporals to get to work and stuff like this as a PFC because they were slacking off. So yeah, they really liked me when I came into the fleet. I was the
nice.
unexpected type of person to be like that.
What about you, Alex? Was there any type of fuck butt games? Was that pretty much it? The extent of you running around being a chain monkey?
No, I mean like they try to do the go get an exhaust sample. Yeah, fuck off, dude.
I
Or
forgot
like
about that one.
uh go get the keys, to yeah, dude, come on. It is like so like one of the other vehicles that we had in the motor pool, like we used to have some MRAPs in there, and they were like, go get the keys to the MRAP that's not like the 7. I was like, yeah, I don't think so, man. But one of them was another one was oh shit, it was I can't remember because it was so like kind of far out there. It was the mechanics messing with me when it came down to why the vehicle wasn't running a certain way, or if I was trying to check out a tool, if I didn't call it by the right name, literally, they wouldn't give it to me, or they give me something else. Oh, you said this, but like they know what I was. I tell them, hey, I'm trying to remove something, and I tell them exactly what I'm doing. Like I'm trying to take this off the back side and see what, and then they're just like, well, what part would that be? What? And it's like you can't you know, throw me a bone here, dude. Like there's so many shits, but one of them would be you're doing your, hey, go start the truck up, do a PM on it, and you're about to go do the whole shit, and you turn everything on, you go to start it up, and one of them snuck on by and turned the fucking switch off on the side. So then you're like, oh fuck. Oh, if that's and they're just standing right there in front of you. Hey, so what happened? Would you find it's not starting? Did you check this? Did you check this? Check. They're having me check all this shit while they're standing in front of the door. Check the circuit board. Pick that out. Okay, hop on out and come over here and pull the. And they're blocking the view and everything of the battery switch there too. So it's like I'm not even thinking that. And then by the end of it, it's like, oh hey, did you check this over here? And I go, what? And then he steps out of the way. I'm like, I had that on. Did you? And it's like you fucking came out and turned it off, didn't you? So stuff like that is the more.
Um,
Oh, you got me good. Now you got me.
yeah. Um, I don't know how it was for you guys when you were in MOS school in Missouri, but when I was in SOI, it was all an open squad base. And for people who don't know what open squad bay is, it's one big room where all it is pillars in this big room like warehouse, and you have rows after rows of double bunk bed racks, and they're made out of metal. It's just single mattresses, and you guys share a common bathroom and everything like that. Well, when I showed up to the fleet, we were finally given 2-man rooms, but you share a bathroom with another room. So 4 Marines to a bathroom. It was like, finally, you've been waiting so long to get out of your parents' house. then you're stuck in an open squad bay for 6 months in boot camp and infantry school, machine gunner school. And it's like, finally, I have my own room. And then what does the Marine Corps do? They introduce you to a Chinese field day. Now, there's field days where you clean everything, and there's Chinese field days where you strip everything out that's not bolted to the room, and then you clean everything in there. And then one piece at a time, you clean it and bring it inside and put it away. And we did that minus the simulated riots. We did that for like 8 hours. I think so that was like the first night in the fleet was the Marine Corps was simulated riot and a field day, Chinese field day, right? Beth, how about you? How did you feel when you got your first room at your unit, or did you even have a two Marine room when you were in Motor T school?
So I got very lucky. My first roommate was a Navy corpsman, and because she was already higher ranking, they didn't mess with her, so they didn't mess with me. So I was so fortunate. I mean, I still had to do like field day enough, but I never had to do any type of Chinese field day just because as a lower ranking at the time, I've always had her. Um, and she was high. She was like an E4. I forgot what that is in the Navy. But anyways, she was high enough. They never really came to her room and checked on her. So when it came to my area, really all they checked was just making sure the head, just like you, it's two people to a room, but we share a head with a totally different room. So it's like two rooms share one equal head. So we did have that. So I had to make sure our bathroom was always cleaned, or the head, as you were, and then making sure my stuff was always squared away. But it was pretty easy, I think, there for a while because I didn't have a whole bunch of my stuff yet. It was just a lot of my own personal gear and maybe a handful of civilian clothes. But they were pretty lenient on me for a while. But I remember seeing them mess with the guys way more. But then again, they were always in trouble. So who knows what was going on at the time. They were.
Yeah.
I saw the Chinese field day that you talk about, though, bringing all the stuff out. Yeah.
How about you, Alex? How did you feel when you got your first room in the fleet?
No, I had like two other motherfuckers in there with me.
Three
Like,
man.
no, we had that the 3-man barracks or 3-man to a room, and me when I got there, the guy that was the two that were there were one was admin, and he had been there for like 5-6 months, being the second newest one, and then the other dude was part of Motor T. He was in my platoon. We were Motor T, and man, he just sucked, dude. Uh he was just he didn't have his stuff together, and you know kind of was on his way out, I think, from what I remember, because I was only roomies with him for like 4 months or so in total. Because in bigger group, when I got to my unit, I was the only one at the time. So then we had a bigger group of guys show up a few later, and then one of them ended up rooming in with us, and we all got along pretty great.
Okay.
But yeah, Chinese field day was like somebody fucked up, dude. Somebody fucked up, and we're all fucking feeling it. This goddamn bullshit, you know.
My next one was going to be about what type of training did you start to learn in the fleet those first few weeks where they say, I don't care what the manual says, I don't care what Motor T school says or whatever, this is how we do it in the fleet and you will do it like this. So when I got to the fleet, the first deployment or the first operation that we had to do was we went to CAX at 29 Palms. And when we went to there was a lot of, I don't care what they said in SOI, School of Infantry. This is how it's done in the fleet. And we would change up all kinds of different things here and there. Your senior Marines, they've been in for about 2.5 years. You've been in for about 6 months at this time. They all have mustaches. They're maybe 21 drinking alcohol. These guys are a little bit more physically growth, so they're a lot bigger than you as adulthood, and it's kind of intimidating. But when it all was said and done, the tough loving that they started giving us right off the bat, testing us to see where we were, what kind of boot that they had to play with. It all seems cruel, but in reality, it is the way to test quickly who is sent to your unit. And with the Chinese field days and everything like that, they just wanted to make sure that they gave us the most extreme of everything right off the bat to kind of test our stress levels. Beth, was there anything like that you showed up into the fleet in the first 2 months or 2 weeks? I mean, and it just seemed like, well, they didn't teach us that in school. Why am I doing it this way?
I don't feel like I had something like that. The only time I was really challenged was because once I first got there, a week out from that, I know our platoon was going out for some training. I volunteered for that. I mean, they told me I get to stay back. I didn't have to go, but I was the one who volunteered for almost everything because I wanted the experience, no matter how hard it was. So it was really out in the fields is where they started trying to maybe challenge me the most through different scenarios and stuff like that, seeing what I learned through MCT and how to maneuver stuff. And again, going back to MC or actually or MOS school as well, because we did convoys and whatnot. But I was the one who picked out the 240 Golf and just kept it the whole entire week with me and carried it wherever I went. So they didn't really mess with me too much because I was already doing the hard stuff. So it's like they didn't do too much. But by me doing that, they actually gave their boys more shit because I was doing all the hard work. And they're like, oh, look at her. She can do it. Why can't you, whatever dirtbags they would call them and stuff like that? Why can't you be like this and stuff like that? And it always made me feel kind of good. I never got messed with because I was already doing the harder stuff. So they would pick on the other guys for me doing the harder stuff. It's kind of a cool thing to look at. Yeah, I never got messed with because I was already doing it by volunteering.
What about you, Alex? When you showed up to the fleet, was there things like, I don't care what they taught you in school, this is how we do it here in the fleet?
Uh, Not too much because like everything in the school is like what's the basics of how to operate with the vehicles, and then there's all the rules and standards of it and how you operate while you're in the military. But some things kind of like I guess like there was an incident one time where uh, I was riding. It was when I was getting my training and I was going through my course to get my MRAP license to drive those. And we were ending up driving one of them and I could feel it. It was just janky as hell in the steering, and it was like pulling heavy to the left a lot. And
Yeah.
um, me plus one other guy being the only one in the group of like 4 or 5 dudes plus the instructor that was not including the instructor, but plus there was a corporal that was teaching us that all me and that corporal and my other dude were the only 3 motor T. All the other 3 cats were just um, going to get their license to drive the MRAP. And so I, after a couple of days of driving like that, I was finding like, hey, the third day came along, and I'm like, dude, this stuff really isn't like solid, and I don't really feel comfortable driving. Like we're passing families, people in their cars driving by, Corporal, this ain't safe. And I kind of brought it up like, and especially for like a training purpose, like if you're instructing us and we're supposed to be learning out, whoever decided to pick this vehicle to go for, like, no fucking go, dude. And I'm a Lance Corporal telling you this, man. Like, we need to get this changed out and get it fixed. And I could hear everybody in the back going, "Oh, who gives a fuck? Oh, dude, quit being a bitch." Oh, and then my buddy back there, "Yo, we went to fucking school for like 18 weeks. Is it 16 to 18 weeks? 16 weeks, I think. No,
Something like
it's
that.
6 to 8 weeks. 8 weeks. It was 8 weeks of out in Missouri, right?
Right.
I don't
And
remember. It's been a
um,
while.
it was like no, dude. Plus my uncle was a truck driver too. He's been a truck driver for the sugar mills for like 20, 30 years. So I've heard all those stories I've heard, all those there are going to be some things like how can we pull these vehicles lickety split. Yeah, can we get some tow cables? Really, we should use a tow bar. But yeah, you can use some tow cables and some chains, and we'll drag this a little. We're going so far. We'll have someone in the back, right, operating it.
Right.
But when it came to something like that, like I didn't give a fuck whose authority or who was higher ranking. It was like, dude, this vehicle that we're learning in is a safety hazard on the get go. So we need to get this swapped out. Well, we turned around, went back to the mow pool, and swapped out the vehicle, picked out a different one.
And the other one was better.
Oh yeah, drove way better. There was no like raggedy jerking. Like the steering wheel was constantly jerking, and I'm like, I'm pulling one of these constantly to get it to keep it to the, when it would do it. It's just like it shouldn't be doing that, man. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
that's
it works.
if it works, it works. I got
It ain't
back to the
broke,
motor
don't fix
pool,
it,
fucking
right?
everything was fine.
All
You
right.
know,
Well, that pretty much wraps up all of us showing up to our duty stations there first few weeks. I just want to thank everybody for watching Millennial Anti-Terrorizers, and we'll catch you guys later.